Thank you for checking out this special presentation of Lone Star Internet Radio's podcast. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station. This podcast is a recording of the 2016 Montgomery County Primary Candidate Forum, broadcasted live from the Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. This following podcast covers the 9th District Judge Court candidates. Before we get to the candidate presentation, please take a moment and hear a word from a title sponsor of Lone Star Internet Radio, the Spirit of Texas Bank.
Spirit of Texas Bank. More than a name, it's a way of doing business rooted in all that makes Texas great. Take lending. At most banks, you feel processed, shuffled around, asked to jump through ever higher hoops. It's not fun. We understand. That's why Spirit of Texas Bank is different. We start by listening to what you need, then finding the best and fastest way to get you help, person to person. Helps, too, that decisions are made locally. Loans tailored to your needs and your finances. You'll quickly realize your opinion counts. Your word matters, and the bank is here to serve you, not the other way around. We've been told over and over again how great the Spirit of Texas banking experience is. We trust you'll feel the same way. Spirit of Texas Bank, all across Texas and now in Conroe, Magnolia, the Woodlands, and Tomball. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
First Assistant District Attorney. I've been working for Brett Legan, your elected District Attorney, since 2009. It's important for you to know the court that we're running for is the 9th. It is a full-time felony criminal court. I am the only candidate in this race that has 20 years of felony criminal experience. I'm the only candidate in this race that's board certified in criminal law. But I also have a demonstrated history of service to this community, working for kids, working for disabled adults, specifically as the past president of the Children's Safe Harbor, which is our local children's assessment center. So I think when you're evaluating a candidate for this race, you need to think of two things. You need to think, do they have the right kind of experience? Do they have the right expertise? And do they have a proven history of community service like I do? So I'd appreciate your vote for the 9th District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bim.
Howdy, I'm Kate Shipman-Bim, and I am running for judge because I want to bring the conservative principles of personal responsibility, accountability, and a smaller, more efficient government to the 9th District Court. I believe that our judges should be fair and impartial, and they should be free of influence from special interest groups and other elected officials, and that they should serve with wisdom and discernment and the courage to stand up for our laws and for our Constitution and to do the right thing. I moved to Montgomery County 11 years ago, and I quickly learned that we are a group of compassionate, conservative, and fair-minded people. And I want to bring that sensibility to the bench in the 9th District Court. I'm the only candidate who has been both a prosecutor and a defense lawyer. I am the only candidate who has represented clients in criminal, civil, juvenile, and family cases, and the 9th is a court of general jurisdiction. I would appreciate your vote on March 1st, and please remember, vote Kate Bim for judge of the 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yollack.
Thank you. My name is Eric Yollack. I'm running for the 9th District Court, and the reason I'm running is because I want to make Texas courthouses great again. Now I want to ask you all a question. Who here in the audience, please applaud if you are a supporter of the Second Amendment? Please applaud. Okay, now I've got another question. Please applaud if you are a supporter of the 9th Amendment. Okay, now let me tell you, that's the issue. The issue in this race is that we need judges who will not play politics. We need judges who will follow the law and know the law. And that's what it needs to be. We need straight shooters, and that's why I want to be the judge of your 9th District Court. I ask for your vote on March 1st.
Thank you. Ms. Bim, the first question will be for you to start. Considering the recent feuds in this court between the sitting judge and the district attorney's office, if elected, how will you ensure that you follow the Code of Judicial Conduct if or when vocal attorneys attack the court or you as judge?
Well, the Code of Judicial Conduct requires that judges remain silent when they're attacked, and that's very difficult. And so even if I were attacked, I would follow those rules and not respond. That's really all that you can do. The most important thing to remember is that judges have to remain fair and impartial. And Justice Samuel Alito, a conservative justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, said that judges have a solemn obligation to follow the law, and that they cannot have a preference for how a case turns out. And when you really think about that, what that means is that a judge has to do the right thing no matter what. And one of the benefits to me as a judge is because I've represented people on both sides, and I'm the only candidate who's done so. I understand that both sides have a job to do. Both sides have a client to represent, and that they have the right to be heard, and that a truly fair and impartial judge will respect that right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yollack?
Mr. Dubois, I'm not going to get into feuding between the district attorney's office or defense lawyers. That is totally inappropriate. And it's not that your question is, it's just that that's not what a judge should be. A judge should be the representative of the people and the law in the courtroom. And so judges should be independent. I respect what the prosecution does in this county. I respect the district attorney's office. I respect Mr. Grant in the district attorney's office. I respect Ms. Bim as a criminal defense lawyer, and I will give her respect, and I will give all of the lawyers and the litigants respect. You know, people need to be treated well. When you go to court, it's an extraordinarily stressful situation. Really, even for the lawyers it is. And you need to be treated well. And I don't care what your circumstance is. The judge should be nice to people, should be courteous to people. Even to someone who has been convicted of a crime, there is no reason for the judge not to at least give the person courtesy while they sentence them.
Thank you. Mr. Grant?
Well, I think we all have a very good understanding in this room of where those feuds came from. And I think the point of this race is because we need a judge on the bench that's going to follow the law and respect both parties. And I think if you do that, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to have a feud with the district attorney's office. You're not going to have a feud with the defense bar. And you're also going to represent the views and the opinions of the county that we're elected to. Montgomery County is an extremely conservative county. We believe in law enforcement. We believe in protecting our kids. We believe in doing the right thing. And we don't believe in turning a blind eye to serious offenses like online solicitation of a minor. So as the judge of the 9th District Court, I'm going to follow the law. I'm going to put public safety and the protection of our kids first, and I don't think there's going to be any feuding going on.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Yollack. As stated earlier, the 9th District Court currently handles only felony criminal cases, however, it is a general jurisdiction court. Why are you the best candidate to hear these cases, or do you think it should be a general jurisdiction court? If so, why?
Okay, well, first of all, the very first thing I said was that judges should follow the law. The law is set by the legislature. The legislature made the 9th District Court a general jurisdiction court. That's what it should be. And so, to answer your question specifically about me, I have a very thorough knowledge of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. I do a lot of probate work. I'm familiar with the family code as a result of that, and I do a lot of civil litigation, and I'm very familiar with the rules of civil procedure. So the answer to your question is I certainly am capable of handling general jurisdiction well and efficiently. But the question is, should it be a general jurisdiction court? And the truth is that this court right now is not functioning well. It needs to take all the criminal cases that it has, continue to accept those cases, and in addition to those cases, it needs to hear civil and family cases to relieve the dockets of the other courts.
Thank you. Mr. Grant?
Well, I disagree. One of the things that we have seen time and time again is that when counties like ours, which are growing at an exponential rate almost, begin to see pressures on their court system, they move to specialized courts because it is more efficient. And this court, if it has the right judge at the helm, is going to be extremely efficient in handling their criminal cases. Currently, this court has the largest population of people in the county jail waiting for trial. This court needs to work full time, and this court needs to get those people out of jail. Now, the fact of the matter is, I've done civil work, and the fact of the matter is, I have had a brief stint as a defense attorney. So, I can do all those things if I'm called upon to do so. Subbing for other courts that are bogged down into family court and need me to pick up a family trial, I can do those things. But I think the most efficient and effective thing for the citizens of Montgomery County to get that jail population down and protect the taxpayer from that immense cost is to leave it specialized. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bim?
Studies show that specialized courts are the most efficient. And in my experience here in Montgomery County, our criminal courts work most efficiently when they are specialized. The law does provide that courts can apportion cases amongst themselves as they see fit, and that's what's happened here. I am ready to do the work of the people of Montgomery County, whatever that may be. In my personal opinion, the 9th District Court should stay specialized, or not, it's not specialized, but it should continue to hear the same number of felony cases that it has. But because I have represented clients in civil court and in family court, albeit on a limited basis, for the last 11 years, the primary, almost exclusive focus of my practice has been criminal law. I am here to step forward and help the other judges to alleviate their own backlogs. If I am elected judge of the district court, of the 9th District Court, it will be so efficient that I will be able to step forward and do that. I'm here to do the work for you, and that's what is the most important thing. It's your court. It needs to work for you.
Thank you. Mr. Grant, we'll start with you. Next question. If the 9th District Court continues to handle felony criminal cases, how will you ensure that fair bail is set for defendants?
Well, we currently have a bail structure that's set by the district court judges that is reasonably fair. It's been effective over the last few years. There's not an immense amount of complaint about the setting of the bonds in that court. But any particular circumstance, if somebody is requesting a change in bail, all they have to do is approach the judge, and we can have a brief hearing about whether or not that bail is appropriate. The fact of the matter is we do have an extensively large jail population. We need to start getting creative with that, and nonviolent offenders and those folks that really aren't in danger of recidivism, we can look at other options like house arrest on ankle monitoring, or just really efficient and regular supervision by the probation department while they're out on bond. So there's lots of things that judges can do to reduce the jail population for those folks that aren't a danger to the community, without necessarily reducing the bond structure, which has worked pretty well. And I haven't heard any complaints from the defense bar or the state for the bond schedule.
Thank you. Ms. Bim?
I'm about to say something that I think is probably going to cause a collective gasp for some people who are already elected officials. In my opinion, jail overcrowding is not a judicial issue. Judges are elected to follow the law, to defend the law and the Constitution, and to make sure that the parties receive a fair trial. If I have to choose between clearing out the jail or making sure that the people of Montgomery County are kept safe, I'm going to make sure that the people of Montgomery County are kept safe. If I have to choose between someone getting a fair trial or them getting a quick trial, I'm going to choose that they get a fair trial because that's what I'm sworn to do. I believe that our bail schedule needs to be revisited. At times, it is oppressive. I can tell you this from my practice doing defense work. I think it is absurd that someone who is charged with 2/100ths of a gram of a controlled substance might be held on a bail that is tens of thousands of dollars. So I do believe that needs to be revisited. But my focus will be on the protection of public and the fair administration of justice.
Thank you. Mr. Yollack?
Well, first of all, to directly answer your question, I do think that the bail schedule needs to be looked at pretty closely. Right now, bail is largely set almost on a pro rata basis based upon the number of counts against a defendant. There needs to be a lot more care in the way that bail is set. I also want to say, though, I do think that it is a judicial issue, the overcrowding in our county jail. This is a serious problem. It's costing the taxpayers a fortune, and we have got to address the efficiency of our court's dockets. The judge should be on the bench from 8 to 6, 5 days a week, 50 to 51 weeks a year, without exception, moving cases and getting people out of the jail into the prison population.
May I respond?
Yes, I'll give you all each 30 seconds.
Thank you. The efficiency of our courts is a judicial issue. That's what we're here to do. We're all up here saying that we are conservatives, which means that we want to preserve and protect your dollars as taxpayers. But I believe that it's critical that the public understand that the court's purpose is to ensure that justice is served. And if we have to choose between efficiency and the fair and impartial administration of justice, our Constitution demands that we err on the side of the fair and impartial administration of justice.
And I think it's important, Andy, if I have a moment, to kind of explain our bond schedule. Our bond schedule is set based on the degree of the offense, but it's also set on whether or not somebody is a repeat offender. So only those cases where somebody may have a small amount of methamphetamines or cocaine that are going to have a high bond, it's going to be because of their extensive criminal history and their proven threat to this community. So I disagree with the thought that just because somebody has a low-level amount of methamphetamine that you don't necessarily need a high bond. You need a high bond if they've shown continually that they're a danger to this community.
Thank you. Mr. Yollack, would you like 30 seconds?
Oh, no, I've talked enough.
Okay. All right. Since everyone has addressed jail overcrowding, Ms. Bim, we'll start with you. How can you make the court more efficient and dispose of cases more quickly?
First and foremost, show up to work. I think one of the things about being a small business owner is you understand if you ain't working, you ain't eating, right? So I'm used to working long hours, and I'm used to working until the work is done. And I'm committed to doing that for the people of Montgomery County. I also believe that we should have daily dockets. And one thing we can do to improve efficiency and help drive down costs in the Montgomery County Jail is to limit the number of times that inmates need to be transported to court, because that is an expensive, time-consuming proposition. I will also try as many cases as I possibly can. We do have courts that are working efficiently in Montgomery County, and I will learn from those courts. I realize that I'm an intelligent individual, but I know I'm not the most intelligent individual, and I'm certainly willing to learn from the experience of others. And so that's one of the first things that I'll do is I'll sit down with my colleagues and say, man, you sure are doing a great job. Teach me how you're doing what you're doing. And I will also bring to the table what I've learned through my extensive practice in the criminal courts.
Thank you. Mr. Yollack?
Well, the first thing that needs to happen with the 9th District Court, as I said, is the judge needs to be there. Now, the judge needs to be there from 8 to 6. He or she needs to have a motion docket from 8 to 9 in the morning every day. He needs to have a motion docket every day from 12 to 1. And he needs to have a motion docket from 5 to 6. And he needs to conduct jury trials in the morning and in the afternoon, 5 days a week, and move the docket forward. Now, there's something else that they need to do, the judge needs to do. And I used to see this in, I think it was the 125th, it may have been the 129th. There was this judge, and he was the scariest judge you could ever go in front of, because he read every single file and knew the files better than the lawyers did. He was a great judge, and he moved things along, and he moved them so well that he's now the governor of Texas.
Thank you. Mr. Grant?
One of the benefits that I bring to this race is I've practiced in a lot of different counties. I've had the opportunity to practice in a large county like Harris County, where it's really a machine. I mean, they handle tens of thousands of cases that go through that courthouse. I've handled cases in small counties, and I've handled cases now in medium counties like Montgomery County. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to move cases more efficiently. But I will agree, you got to show up for work first. And you got to work 8 to 5. And we need to have dockets every day. And one of the things I did when I decided to run for this bench was I sat down with the defense bar and I got their ideas and I talked to them about it. Yes, the first assistant district attorney sat down with the defense bar and said, give me your good ideas, guys. And they said, we want you to prioritize which cases are on dockets. We want state jail felonies and third-degree nonviolent cases on one docket, and murders and sexual assaults of children and those other type of serious cases that are complicated and take a longer time to work out on different dockets. And that's a great idea. State jail felony drug cases work out very quickly. So we're going to prioritize the type of cases, we're going to categorize them and put them on similar dockets, and we're going to work hard every day.
Thank you. Closing statement, Mr. Yollack, we'll start with you.
Thank you. The reason I ask for your vote on March 1st is because this court and quite frankly the courthouse needs reform. And I have proven to the voters of this county that I know how to reform a government institution. In 2003, I was confronted with a scary mess called the Montgomery County Hospital District. And I went on that board, and I did make some waves. And I was on the board for 3 years, and they were miserable years, quite frankly. And in August of 2006, we passed the lowest tax rate that the hospital district had seen for a long, long time, and I resigned 15 minutes later. I got the job done. That's what I'll do in the 9th District Court, and that's why I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Grant?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think for a second that, God forbid, you've got some sort of brain cancer. Do you go to your general practitioner to get that taken care of? Do you just go to that doctor who you've been seeing since you were a little kid and ask him to prescribe some antibiotics? No, you go down to a specialized hospital and you meet with a specialized surgeon and you meet with the best in the state. And that's what we need to do in the 9th. This is a full-time felony criminal court, and you need a specialist at the helm. I am the only candidate in this race that's board certified in criminal law. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've got over 100 felony criminal trials under my belt. There's not going to be a thing that comes before me in the 9th that I haven't seen, that I haven't heard about, that I haven't worked on, and that I haven't been successfully a litigator on. I've been an extremely successful trial lawyer, and I will take care of the citizens of Montgomery County. I've been involved in protecting the most vulnerable of our population. Now, I know politicians make a lot of promises, but I'm only going to make you one, and that's that if you elect me judge of the 9th, I'm not going to let you down.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Bim?
I'd like you to imagine another scenario. I'd like you to imagine a scenario where you or someone you love is charged with a crime. Who would you want to be the judge in that case? Would you want it to be a judge who has been both a successful prosecutor and a successful defense lawyer? Would you want it to be someone who is committed to the law and to the fair and impartial administration of justice? Would you want it to be someone who believes that the people of Montgomery County are compassionate, conservative, and fair-minded, and who wants to reflect all of those principles on the bench? I believe that if you look deep into your hearts and you look at all of us as candidates, look at our websites, watch us, follow us on Facebook to see what we're all about, you can see that I am committed to Montgomery County, just as Mr. Grant is, just as Mr. Yollack is. We all bring something different and unique to the table. But I believe that I am the right person to be the judge of the 9th District Court, and I ask for your vote on March 1st.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Good night.
Thank you for listening to the special broadcast of the 2016 Montgomery County Primary Candidate Forum. This was an open invitation event to all candidates and was broadcasted live from the Crichton Theater. If you have any questions or comments for Lone Star Internet Radio, or you would like to sponsor Lone Star Internet Radio, please contact the station online at irlonestar.com or our Facebook page, Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. We would also like to thank the title sponsor of Lone Star Internet Radio, the Spirit of Texas Bank, Lone Star Internet Radio, and the Spirit of Texas Bank, serving the community of Montgomery County.